I always get the two mixed up. Nonfiction.
I know what you mean.
Is,
You need nonfiction.
Yeah.
Like real life.
Yes.
Yeah, see.
It's going to make a good husband.
He sure will. Let me tell you. It's going to be great.
If you ever let him be one.
Yeah. Breaks a lot of trust. Yeah, not cool.
Getting her worked up.
Oh, man.
Welcome to Magically Wired. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Megan. And in honor of AAC Awareness Month this October, we are going to be talking about communication today.
I love it.
It's going to be a big chat.
Yes. Megan has plenty to say about AAC.
We're going to have to cut me off.
So, for our listeners, can you describe what AAC means?
Sure. So AAC stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication. And what that is basically describing any form of communication that would be a supplement to spoken language or a different means other than spoken language.
Right.
Traditionally, it means using a device or a what we would call like a voice output system. So when you hit a button, the device speaks for the user. But there are other forms of AAC. So sign language is a form of AAC, gestures, eye contact, body language, because they are all in supplement to or alternate from spoken communication.
Didn't know that.
You learn something new every day.
Sure do.
But AAC is a passion of mine because I am a firm, solid believer in communication.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people view communication as speech.
Totally.
And there's no fault in that, but that is a mentality that forces you to see someone with an AAC device as being lesser than.
Yeah.
And I'm not about that.
Yeah.
So if we think about ableism, which we've talked about in previous episodes, ableism is just this belief that neurotypical is the standard and only way to be, and that really anything different from that is lesser than, right? And so when that mindset really allows us to always strive for spoken communication. Anything that's not spoken is lesser than or deemed ineffective. And that's so far from the truth. One of my favorite things to tell families who are new to AAC is that non-speaking does not mean non-thinking, non-understanding, non-feeling.
Yeah.
And non-intelligent, it doesn't mean that at all.
Right.
There's like full brains in these heads, right, of like autistic kids who can't speak and they understand.
Right.
And they can do anything that we can do and they think just like us. And if they have no means to put that out there, I mean, can you imagine a life where you can't speak? So the gift of communication that we all take for granted every single day can be so powerful and uplifting to these people who don't have another means of communication.
Right. Do you think, and this is just a random question, do you think most communication is spoken? Because I feel like it's not.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough.
It's a deep question.
Yeah. I mean, we can get deep.
It was a deep question. Sorry.
I think, but you know what? I mean, so side note, my undergrad degree is in cognitive science and linguistics. And before I became a speech therapist, I had dreams of working with chimpanzees overseas and teaching them communication. I'm not joking with you. It's dead serious.
Which is creepy because they're creepy.
Well,
did you watch the chimp crazy lady thing?
I didn't.
Okay,
Because
but you need to.
Okay,
Okay.
fine. But don't ruin my dreams.
Okay.
Anyway, I was obsessed with linguistics and
Okay.
cognitive science, but the study of language
Mhm.
is fascinating. And culturally, there are so many differences between our language and any other language around the world.
Mhm.
And that subcategory of study is called sociolinguistics, and that
Okay.
was my ultimate favorite.
Okay.
Um, but there's a lot of cultures where communication isn't primarily spoken.
Yeah.
And I think we take for granted the nonverbal communication we use with
Mhm.
people, right? So just like shooting a glance at you across the room with my eyebrows raised
Right.
when we're in an awkward situation,
Yeah.
or gesturing the way that I supplement my spoken language with my hands all the time.
Right.
It's telling you a story,
We're
right?
like Italians. Like
Absolutely. And that's alternative communication,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
We all do it. And I don't think that there's anybody out there who would say, yeah, like take away my voice and I feel cool with that. And
Right.
don't give me another way to speak. I tell people this literally daily. If children could speak, they would.
Yeah.
Like point blank. Nobody's being manipulative. Nobody is like being stubborn,
Yeah.
holding it in. We all speak, right? So kids watch us, they learn from us, they strive to be like us.
Right.
And we all want to get our message heard as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
So, withholding things from kids, expecting them to communicate, not giving them
Mhm.
access to
I hate that.
AAC, that's not going to make them communicate,
Yeah.
right? This is going to frustrate them and like really set them back.
Yeah.
It breaks a lot of trust,
Jeez.
and it, yeah, not cool. But so anyway, I get on a lot of soapboxes on this topic.
Okay.
AAC Awareness Month is super important. We want
It
to make sure
is.
everybody understands
Yes.
and knows how important it is to have access to communication.
Yes. And my daughter, thanks to Megan, uses an AAC device, which is an iPad with an app that you can buy from the Apple Store, Touch Chat. That's the one we use, right? And
Yes.
what did we use before Touch Chat, the free one?
Go Talk Now.
Go Talk
Light.
Now Lite,
Light is
which you
the
can
free.
get on
Yeah.
any,
It has to
or
be
it
an
has,
Apple product. Yeah.
okay, so like an iPad,
Yes.
which would probably be the cheapest route to go
Yes.
if you asked me,
Mm-hmm.
and the quickest.
Yes.
You can get an iPad, a sufficient iPad.
For $200.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and
You can
then
get a used one on Facebook Marketplace
you
for a
can,
hundred,
yep,
maybe less.
and right now, are they half off, or is it
So
just like a certain date?
I will say for the next 2 weeks,
Okay,
there are certain programs that are 50% off in honor of AAC Awareness Month. Touch Chat, Lamp, Proloquo are some of the bigger names.
okay,
And they are all 50% off. And this is a big discount because
yeah,
if you've ever bought one of these programs, they're $300
yeah, that,
at like
yeah,
solid.
yes,
So they're 150 this month. I know it seems steep, but they are very robust in that
yes.
they have a ton of vocabulary, easy to customize.
Yeah, I don't see like us, and like it transfers, say the iPad breaks, like it's going to transfer, it's going to go with your cloud to your next iPad. So it's not like you got to keep paying for it over and
Mm-hmm.
over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a one-time buy.
Yeah.
And then like you said, it's so robust. I feel like Lucy will probably use Touch Chat for a pretty long time
Sure.
until like she's,
Until she can choose what she wants to
yeah,
do
yeah,
versus communication. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
TouchChat has a keyboard too.
I
So
did.
if she
I have
chooses to
seen that.
type, yeah,
Yes.
it's on there. And there are so many AAC programs and
Hmm.
systems, and n- everyone is going to prefer something
Totally.
different. There's a really cool app called Spoken that I recently discovered where it's a whiteboard and you can draw what you're thinking about and the words will pop up.
What?
I know. And it has
That's
predictive,
super
really
cool.
cool predictive text system, and it has phrases where you can like hit a phrase and then maybe type in the word that you want to add to the phrase or
Okay.
draw it. But it's $6.99 a month. I mean, $6.99 a month.
Is that the one that you had me download for my aunt?
Yes.
Okay, that
Yes.
was pretty impressive.
It is very cool.
And that was, I did it like a free, I don't think I
Yes.
paid the 6.99, and just the free
Right.
version was pretty legit.
Sufficient. Yeah.
Yes, it was legit.
And so, great point. AAC is not just for kids,
Hmm.
and um, it's not a lifelong thing,
Right.
right? So there might be periods of time where people need AAC,
Hmm.
and they might be older. So
Yes.
your aunt,
Yes. Bless my aunt's heart. She went through some crazy,
medical stuff.
yes, medical stuff that like hit her out of nowhere, and we weren't sure if she was going to be able to talk. Luckily, she was. When once she came out of everything, and but I made sure like I wanted to have something for her because, my mom brain, I'm like, she's not going to be able to communicate. Like,
Yes,
she can't know. Like,
the reason for human
yeah,
existence.
that's not okay with me. So
Yeah.
I I called you. I
Yes.
said, what can my aunt
I
use?
shot you a device, shot you a program.
But
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's for the lifespan. It's for
yes,
anybody, everybody.
yes.
And you don't have to be non-speaking to use AAC.
Hmm.
So it can be a supplement.
Hmm.
There are many autistic individuals, or I should just say individuals that don't speak consistently, that use AAC um, in various times of their lives,
Yeah.
right, or environments. So Henry is a fluent speaker with his
Hmm.
mouth, but when he is dysregulated or in a meltdown, in
Hmm.
crisis of any kind, we try to have AAC available for him so that he can
Okay.
communicate wants and needs. There's an app that I have on my phone. It's
Okay.
called um,
Not sure.
Speak something.
Okay.
Hold on one sec.
Is that the one he likes?
It is. It's called Let Me Talk.
Okay.
And it's very basic. It just,
Okay.
has some feelings, regulation strategies, things that he might ask for drinks or,
Yeah.
get away from me
Yeah.
when he just like cannot find his words.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, for anybody and everybody.
Do you think that is because he's in like just dysregulated, or I don't know.
Yeah. Great question. I think I mean, I don't know the research on this,
Yeah.
full disclosure, but I really think that when he is in a moment of like meltdown or shutdown,
Yeah.
there are just some pathways in his brain that just like shut down and fully focus on like
Do you
surviving.
do you think it shuts down like the executive functioning altogether?
100%.
Yeah.
Like you cannot take anything personally,
Yeah.
like in those moments.
Yeah.
And afterwards, Henry is usually super low energy and like really apologetic and embarrassed and
Yeah.
upset that any of that happened, but it was totally out of his control.
Right.
Um,
But at least he can like
yeah,
has that to use.
100%.
It's unfortunate Lucy, when she's pissed off, she won't use hers.
Well, it's
But
so hard.
she'll get
Yeah,
there.
she'll get there. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and I'm not saying it's foolproof.
Yeah. I
Some days he
mean,
throws the phone at me, and that's the communication that we
right.
get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I get the
Right, right.
like, don't touch my words,
Sounds
bitch.
right.
Like, they're mine. Don't touch them.
They are.
Yeah,
Oh my God, get
they
off.
are. They are. I know better. I know better.
And something you mentioned about the iPad. So one thing we might be able to talk about is the systemic issue of accessing
Yes, go ahead.
AAC,
Speak on it.
right? So our spoken language is free.
Yeah.
Like we just acquire that. We're born with it. We pick
Hmm.
it up from here and there and everywhere. But when you can't speak, society's like, sorry, you got to pay for a voice. Like we're
So
not gonna
fucked
just
up. Like,
give
I've
this to
never
you.
even thought about
Oh, I
that.
think about it all the time, every day. Lose sleep over this stuff.
That is fucked up.
Yeah, and not only are we gonna make you pay for your voice, but we're not even gonna teach you how to use it. We're just gonna give it to you.
And I pay taxes on that
Heck yeah,
too. Rude.
I know. So, um, there are ways to get AAC programs and devices that aren't going to bankrupt you. So there is a company that I work with, but there are other companies out there. This one's called AbleNet. It's a third-party company that works between clients and their insurance programs to get them AC devices. So insurance can be challenging to navigate,
Yes.
to say the least. And so this company knows the ins and outs of that, and they will do it for you,
Okay.
which is great.
That is great.
Yeah. And other than that, there are grant programs out there. So if you live in Maryland, the LIST program
Yes.
um,
Which we've spoken about
is a lottery.
before.
Yeah, and you can get money and use it for an AAC device.
The ARC has tightened up their I don't know if you know that.
I don't,
But
feel free to share.
they have tightened up their pockets. I wonder if it's because we told everyone about them on the podcast.
Probably.
It was probably us.
Sorry.
All of our.
Sorry, just trying to get people AAC devices.
We have so many listeners, you know.
I love it.
Yeah. The ARC it's more difficult.
Yeah. And there are
now.
criteria. So you have to
Yes.
submit some documents
Yes.
and like there's things that you have to do.
Question. So in Lucy's IEP,
Yeah.
like it states like that the school is supposed to provide her with one.
Correct.
I mean, I obviously did not want that because we've already been set up, you know,
Sure.
for years with
Yes.
Lucy's device.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do they let the kids take that device home if it's provided by the school?
Sometimes. It depends on your district, your school, the special educator.
Shut the fuck up.
No. So another way to get an AAC device through your public school system, if your child has an IFSP or an IEP or, you know, I guess it's that everywhere, but if they have something through the public school system, they are technically entitled to at least an evaluation to see if they're eligible for an assistive tech device. And don't even get me started on the inequities and all of that. Nobody should have to prove that they are a communicator.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have to prove to somebody that you need an AAC device.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, the meme you always see, like, it's like Amazon wants to see the picture of my missing package.
Right. Yes. And you're like, sorry. Oh, we won't refund you. No, it's just like that. And I can't tell you how many evaluations I've seen where kids don't get AAC because they didn't possess skills to use AAC, even though they've never used it before.
Or ever been taught.
Right. And someone just sticks it in front of them. They're like, sorry, they can't use it. We're not going to fund them one. Anyway, so there's a lot of systemic issues there, but I always recommend to families, if you have an IEP or an IFSP, go through the public school system first. That is free.
Okay.
The challenge there is there's a waiting game too. So if you qualify for an AAC device, you have to wait until one is available, which is still wild to me because like it's an iPad, but like I don't know. But
you know, we pay taxes so our kids can go to county school.
Yeah. And some kids are allowed to take them home, some aren't. Some can't take them home for the summer. Can you imagine? 3 months, just no voice. Sorry.
Go home for 3 months. And
right. So I would try through the schools first, and then there are programs like AbleNet, and there's grant programs that you can use to fund an AAC device. And then if you want to fund your own device, you can, right?
Yeah.
So buy an iPad, buy a program. October and April are when the programs tend to go on sale.
Okay.
Before you go purchasing a program, I would find an SLP or a speech pathologist who has experience in AAC and can help you find a program that works for your child.
Yes.
And teach you how to use it.
I was going to say, teach you how to model for the child so you can teach your child how to use it.
But there are...
Like any other language, it needs to be taught.
Yes. There are so many things on social media, so many platforms that can educate parents and families on how to use AAC and how to model. But there's nothing like someone being able to customize and personalize that for your child and your experience. Not all kids are just going to get this system and like know how to use it. Most kids don't.
Yeah.
Because it is a different language.
Can we plug Mrs. Speechy? Is that Is that her Instagram handle?
What is it?
I think
Miss Speechy P.
Let me see, because I love her. And
she's great.
Good She's
Totally.
got the goods.
Yes.
Let me look it up.
AAC with Kate McLaughlin is a wonderful SLP with a lot of AAC knowledge, and she is neuroaffirming. So, meaning we're not going to force kids hand over hand to use their AAC device.
It's Mrs. Speechy P.
There it is. Yeah. She's great. She's got a lot of good recommendations.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I actually tagged her in something and she thanked me.
Oh, she's great.
And then she was like, fire emoji. And I was like,
Oh, I love
I
it. She is
know.
awesome.
I know.
I love her stuff.
Same. Yeah, I want to, put it out there. Like I made it sound so easy. Like you just go out there and you can buy an iPad. And, we did get the program or the app on sale. I think we got ours in April. And we are fortunate enough that we
Sure.
were able to buy an iPad. Not everyone is.
Yeah.
So it's super frustrating. I couldn't imagine, like you said, like taking a child's voice away for the summer or
Yeah.
the evening
Mm-mm.
or an hour. Like Lucy, and again, this is terrible, but Lucy has two
Yeah.
devices because if something happens, if one gets lost, we've left it somewhere before, and I literally felt like the worst parent ever because she didn't have it for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, she needs a second one.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason that the school is that uptight and that freaking cheap that they can't send a kid home with their
I don't even
voice.
know why. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
It's like, why even
Why even
bother?
bother? I get so worked up.
I know. Getting her worked up.
Oh, man.
I'm stirring the pot over here.
I could talk about this for like 72 hours straight, just so you know. There's so many micro issues in the bigger issue. But like at the end of the day, I always want people to know that AAC is communication, just
Yeah.
like me and you talking, just like anybody talking, right? Or using gestures or eye contact or whatever it might be. And as human beings,
Mhm.
our number one foundational desire is to be connected to other human beings. And connection happens through communication. And in a world that moves so quickly and unfairly in a lot of ways, I
Yeah.
can't imagine not providing any child, any age, any capacity level, whatever you want to call it, a form of communication.
Yeah.
And this is not giving up on spoken language.
Yeah.
I'm never handing you a device and saying, I'm sorry, your kid's never going to
Let's
talk.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how AAC promotes
Ooh.
speech.
So let me tell you a little story.
Okay, a love story.
Back in the day, I basically was like taught that AAC inhibits spoken language. So, like, if you get a kid an AAC device, it makes them lazy. Like, they don't want to talk because they have access to this system. That's not true. So, research has shown year after year after year, stronger and stronger, that AAC only promotes and supports the development of spoken language.
Mm-hmm.
It does not take away spoken language, it does not replace it. There is nobody who, instead of saying, I love you, would leave the room to find their AAC device, get it, turn it on, open the program, find the button, and hit it.
Yeah.
There's no one
Yeah.
who would do that.
Yeah.
So AAC promotes spoken language. I have several incredible stories of kids who got AAC devices and basically started speaking once they were able to communicate in like an autonomous way.
Right.
And felt so confident and supported, they were able to echo or mimic the
And
device.
like seen.
Yes.
Can you imagine like being an older child and not having any means of spoken communication and then someone gives you a device and it's like gives you a voice? How like gives me chills.
I know. There was an CBS
Did you send that to me? I think you
episode.
did. She was like
Jordan
older.
Zimmerman
Okay.
did an incredible piece
Yes.
on CBS. Google it. It's good. or we can like link it.
Okay, I can link it.
She was non-speaking her entire life. Her parents were told that she was intellectually disabled, that she couldn't communicate, she wouldn't, do X, Y, and Z. And she had access to AAC around the age of 18. And when she was able to form complete sentences and talk to her parents, she on the program says like they were so confused because, and they felt a horrible
Oh my
guilt, like,
gosh. Yeah.
she was trapped.
Yeah.
Like, how else were you going to do that?
I love how Abby from Love on the Spectrum, she always says that she felt like the Little Mermaid when she was little.
Yeah. Like she couldn't find her voice.
Yes, and that she was trapped.
Mm.
And I'm like,
Mm.
ooh, like it really like just
Mm.
and she's older, so I don't know how long like really
Yeah.
AAC devices have been around.
Well, there's a whole generation of people that were not given access to AAC for
Right.
a number of reasons, but like historically before iPads, AAC devices cost like $20,000. And so if your insurance didn't pay for it, like you were screwed. You were using PECs. You were using paper communication. If you had the fine motor skills to like write or like pick up a piece of paper. And I mean, now in 2024, we have eye gaze machines, which I've had the pleasure of using just to test it out, and they're incredible.
Okay.
But I mean, everyone deserves a voice.
Yeah. And I think that also comes just with like technology, like even like my niece's diabetes, like the generation before her didn't have Dexcoms and
Right,
pumps
right.
that they
Yeah,
could like, you
totally.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I think that's just like a evolution, sadly.
yeah,
Like it sucks for that
yeah,
generation.
it does. But, when you know better, you do better.
Yes.
And we know better. So we
Yes.
do better.
Yes.
And I just want to make sure that, gosh, like every parent understands that even if it's not what you imagined, if it's not
Mhm.
what you dreamt for your kid, I promise, like hearing their thoughts
Yeah.
and their desires is going to mean so much more.
Yeah.
And I talk about like these stories of kids who learn to talk from their
Mhm.
devices, but that doesn't happen all the time. And
Yeah.
there's again, like if you see a child using an AAC device and they're not speaking, it doesn't mean that they're lazy or that they, are stubborn. It means that this method of communication obviously is so much easier, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, with Lucy, we know she does speak sometimes. She
Yes.
does say words. She does say
Mhm.
phrases. Like we
Mhm.
hear her adorable voice, which is
Mhm.
amazing.
It's the
But
best.
yeah, but if it was easy enough for her, she would use it.
Right.
She wouldn't turn around and find her iPad and use it that way.
Right.
But I'm sure that if she could tell us, she would tell us how glad she is to have
Yes.
that form of
Oh,
communication.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And
I'm sure.
so for me, I would love to know as a parent what that experience has been like. Because when I started with you guys,
Yeah.
she did not have an AAC device and I
Mm-mm.
recommended it.
Mhm.
And I've never asked you how you felt about that and in that moment.
Um, I was like, I feel like when it all came about, I was just really overwhelmed because I'm like, oh my God, like this, especially like how robust
Mm-hmm.
they are. And like you have to personalize them, obviously.
Learning a new language.
Yeah, like, so I'm
You ready to learn
basically,
Spanish?
right.
ASAP?
Like
Okay.
you're like showing me a new language that I need to show my daughter. And I'm just like, it was very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And just to even like, because, people would ask, like, well, is that going to like replace her speaking? And I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Right. Right.
Am I
Yeah.
a psychic?
Hold on. Let me get my crystal ball.
Right. Hold on. Let me ask my 8 ball.
The
Magic
answer is
8
no.
ball.
Just going to say it. So make sure everyone knows.
Right. Um, does it make me sad that Lucy doesn't talk? I think it did at first, and I think it's actually more like frustrating to me now. Not so much that she doesn't talk, But like right now, so her, like I said, when she's upset, she won't use her AAC device. She has lots of health issues, stomach issues. So she's in pain a lot and she can't tell me.
Mm-hmm.
So her communication style when
Yeah.
she's in pain is screaming fucking bloody murder for
Yeah. Uh-huh.
hours.
Good times.
Yeah, good times. So I would love to get that to that point. I feel like that's the only thing that makes me sad about Lucy not talking per se.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not even because she's not talking, it's because she won't use her device when she's upset.
Right.
Um,
Well, and I think as a parent, like, I can't speak to Henry not speaking.
yeah.
I can speak to the anxiety that I feel just knowing that life is harder for him.
Yes.
And that's where I think my sadness festers.
Same.
I think it's just me thinking about how hard every second of every day is for
Yes.
him and what that means for his future,
Yes.
right?
All of that.
Yeah.
And like just her being able to express like what's hurting her. Like, like when you're younger, like I would be like, Mom, my stomach hurts. You
Right.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I don't want to
Like,
go to school.
yeah, Mom, this
Yeah.
hurts, that hurts. Like, she
Yeah.
can't tell me,
Yeah.
or she can't yet.
Yeah. Well, she communicates it.
She does.
A
She
plug
just,
for communication.
yes, she communicates something's wrong. I just don't always know what.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean,
Which
that detective
is,
work is exhausting.
yes, being a detective is exhausting. 'Cause
Yes.
I didn't go to
Every
school
day.
for
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and apparently
I do
none
love
of the
a good
doctors
murder
out
doc,
there
though.
did. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? So my other question is, so when people ask you if you think Lucy will talk,
Mhm.
how does that make you feel?
It's so. Uh,
What would you say to those people?
um, she does talk.
Yeah.
She communicates to me every day.
Yeah.
Like she uses her device. She
Yeah.
does talk to me.
She gives the best little but goodbye kisses.
She does, and she tells me she loves me sometimes. She
Yeah.
didn't today.
I hear it. I've heard it. Okay.
You know, it's really cute. My mom called today on FaceTime, and I was like, Lucy, say hi to my mom. And she said, Hi, Mama. And I was like,
Oh, there it is.
Mom, did you hear
It's
that?
amazing. It's amazing. And in
Yeah.
those moments, it just flows. And
Yeah.
if it was that easy all the time, she
Right.
would.
She would. So
Totally.
basically, I'm like, I don't know if she's going to talk. I don't really particularly care.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, as long as she can advocate for herself and just have a voice, like
Yeah.
in some capacity, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. You just want
Yeah.
her to feel heard and
Yeah.
seen.
You know what really grinds my
Tell
gears?
me about it. I can't
So
wait.
we were in Ocean City and we were at the water park and Lucy went to grab her device and some lady's like, "Oh, she needed to take a break to watch her movie."
No.
And I'm like,
What?
yeah, and I
Ew.
feel like I see a lot of that, like people posting on Facebook, like, oh, it's not the same anymore. Like parents let their kids watch their tablets
Mm.
and they're always on their tablets and da 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 da. And it's like, you don't know what
You don't
they're
know
watching on their
anything.
fucking tablet,
Yeah.
number one. You don't know if it's device, number two. You don't know if they need a sensory break,
Yeah.
number three. You don't know if the parents just need a fucking break.
Right.
Like, mind
Actually,
your fucking
just
business.
don't say anything. That'd be great.
Mind your business.
Keep it all up here.
Mind it.
Ugh. Yeah.
That really, like, it. And I know it was so, like, stupid. And
Yeah.
she's, like, an older lady. And I know it's, like, a lot of generational bullshit, too.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I just, like, I'm like, I don't even have time or energy to explain it to you. I
No.
was just like, yup,
Yeah.
good
Bye.
movie.
Hope karma catches you on the way out.
Right?
Lordy. The judgment.
Yes. That's,
That's a good point.
yeah. Because I do. I see a lot of people post about it. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, it infuriates me.
Totally. I've heard people say that they won't give their kid an AAC device because they don't want them to have more screen time.
I've heard that as well.
And I honestly don't have the energy to reply to that comment. So,
They're obviously not affirming parents,
no.
which
And
is sad.
it is sad. And I mean, I really do hope that one day we live in a society that values every brain and every form of communication.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. If you try to communicate with me in sign language, I'm going to do my best to understand what you're saying.
Right.
If you communicate with me on a tablet, I'm going to do my best to understand what you're
Yeah.
saying. But I'm never going to try to change the way that you're trying to communicate with me.
Right.
And I mean, that goes for people who speak different languages, right? Like, I don't expect for you to just come into my home and speak English because you're here. Like,
Yeah.
that's not very encouraging,
Yeah.
affirming. And that brings up another light bulb.
Mm-hmm.
Turns on another light bulb. That makes more sense semantically.
Opens another can of worms.
Another one. I've got one. I think that I had this conversation with a client today.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guilty of this in the past. When you know better, you do better. Handing people AAC devices like you're a martyr of some kind, right? Like, I'll just give everyone the words, the communication. Here you are. It doesn't work like that, FYI.
Yeah.
It's a failed
Yeah.
attempt. AAC is a different language. I've said that like 7 times now, but it is, okay? So it's basically saying to somebody, I am taking you to a different country. Here is your dictionary. Like, have fun. That does not make you a fluent communicator.
Mm-mm.
That we cannot be this, guys.
Mm-mm.
We cannot do this.
Mm-mm.
So we have to teach kids how to use AAC.
Yeah.
I just think about when we put children who are learning English as a second language
Mm-hmm.
into class with English or speaking students. And we don't just say like learn the language. We pull them out for like coaching and
Right.
support on how to learn grammar and how to
Right.
learn vocabulary.
I'm
But we don't
still
do
really bad at grammar, just FYI.
in English, same. I mean, let alone don't even listen to my Spanish. I'm probably a better AAC user, honestly.
I probably know more of the Russian language than the Spanish language, which is just weird. Okay.
That is interesting.
But continue.
But we need to be supporting kids in the same way,
Yeah.
right? So, like, we can't hand them this computer and expect them to, first of all, just know its purpose and its power.
Yeah.
So, like, when you see everybody around you communicating with spoken language and you can't, and someone gives you a device, it's not like you're like, thank God, like,
Yeah.
now I can speak.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. No one else is doing it. Okay? Like,
Never seen an iPad before or anything.
never. And then can we just talk about what these buttons look like on AAC? Most of the time they are line drawings. Bizarre. The icon for help is a man laying on the ground reaching up to another man.
Stop.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, I mean, I guess I can't think of a better icon, but that, like, we got to help kids understand that, okay? And then it is not a menu. So, like, you know this because I've preached this
Yeah.
so many times. It is easiest for us to teach AAC and honestly any other language by teaching vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to motivate a child to understand and use vocabulary is with food.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, do you want pretzels? Hit
Yeah.
this button and you'll get them. And so the kids hit the button and they get the pretzels. And usually kids get really good at this really quick because
Yeah.
they're like, I know how to order my things. Like, I feel good. I'm in control.
Lucy's great at manding.
So good. So good. But then we, as a society and as speech pathologists in general, give up. We're like, they can use a device. And that is infuriating
Yeah.
to me because if I went through my whole day only being able to request food,
Mm-hmm.
I would get nowhere and I would be
Yeah.
800 pounds. Like, I communicate about experiences,
Mm-hmm.
commentary, protests, my hopes and wishes for the future, what I want to wear, what I want to gossip about,
Yeah.
right? So like I'm not saying that we have to teach kids how to gossip on AAC, but we have to let them know it's there.
Yeah.
And as they get older and their peers are learning syntax, so sentence structure, they're learning how to change things to past tense and irregular past tense. We just sort of give up on these kids and we're
Yeah.
like, oh, if you want to just speak in broken English for the rest of your life, that's fine. And I think it comes down to the fact that we don't know
We're giving me
how.
anxiety.
I know, but this is literally where I live in anxious world every day. Because let me also tell you something. I've had in grad school, I got 2 hours of education on AAC out of my entire 2 years.
Really?
2 hours.
You're
And
so
that
good
was an
at it.
elective. I didn't even have to take it.
It's because you're passionate about it. That's why you're so
And let me
good.
tell you, outside of that, I've had maybe 6 hours of education on AAC. It comes from experience, passion, and desire to learn
Yeah.
and to do better for these kids, right? Like, just because I don't know how to teach them grammar on AAC doesn't mean they don't deserve to learn grammar on AAC. And so I'm going to learn how to speak this language and how to teach kids to learn this language because that's unfair.
Yeah.
You know, I know a client who is brilliant and doesn't use spoken language most of the time. And he was just given an assignment at school. And I know he got a 15 out of 15 on the assignment. He did great. But I know they were grading his effort and his intellect, which is there. But his peers probably wrote sentences about their projects. And he had somebody scribe for him based on the nouns that he was using on his AAC device. And I applaud this school
That's
for
cool.
including him.
Yeah.
But I also am like, you can do better.
Yeah.
You can teach him how to use the and a and past tense and present progressive tense on his AAC device. He doesn't always have to be using broken English.
Right. And have someone there to speak
He's
it
not always going
for
to have that
him.
person
Yeah.
there. And he's not
Yeah.
always going to have this wonderful teacher and this wonderful school.
Yeah.
So what happens? But this is like basically, you know, I hate when people dish out hate and they don't give any plan.
Yeah.
Like that is the worst.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want people to know that that is not okay. So if you have a child who is doing really well at requesting food and everybody wants to back off teaching their AAC device, no, like the answer is no.
Yeah.
And they are entitled to learn English just like anybody else. That is
Yeah.
their voice, right? And then also all of the professionals out there who are scared to get more education or to understand more, or maybe you just don't even have the time. The first step is just to sit down with one of these devices in your living room at 8 o'clock at night and just play around with
Yeah.
it. Get to know the device.
Facts.
How do you edit it? Where is the word string? It's not on touch chat.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
That's
I've
weird.
looked for it and I'm like, where's string?
I'm trying to think of the word on Lucy's that code.
Oh yeah, it's code. It's like the corn kid. It's cone. It's code.
We cannot figure
Yeah, you
out.
can't figure out how to make it change. But like you only know that if you sit down with it and
Right.
you listen to it and you like
Yeah.
brainstorm with it, the more you know, the better you can do.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to know that I know that this is a lot of work. And I know that teachers and special educators and speech pathologists are all overworked and underpaid. But I promise your work is going to be so much more meaningful and enjoyable when you can really help these kids. And I mean, I have stories, like, I mean, I could write a memoir about this stuff, but I have another client who we got her an AAC device, and she loves Paw Patrol. And I had put all of her Paw Patrol characters in her device because I wanted her to have access to these things.
Yeah.
And her mom told me that there was a character. So I knew Paw Patrol in 2017.
Right.
And now there are like 25 new characters.
Yeah.
I didn't know about them. So she was like, well, her favorite character is Sweetie. And Sweetie's not on her device. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew. So I put Sweetie on her device.
Yeah.
And I gave it to her and I showed her the button. I kid you not, she started happy crying and she spoke, thank you, and she embraced me. Dead serious. This is a true story. And I had a witness there, another OT who I was coach reading with. She said thank you and started crying and hugged me and then just kept hitting the button over and over and over and over and over again. Like, all she wanted to say was sweetie, but she's 4. She can't spell. So it's not like she could go into the keyboard and type it out,
Yeah.
right? She needed somebody to believe in her and to believe that she wanted to talk about this.
Let's presume competence.
You started me on another 72-hour tangent. So presuming competence basically means that we assume that any person can and will do anything.
Mhm.
They can learn, they can think, they can do, unless solidly proven otherwise.
Right. Solidly.
That is rare.
Yeah. It is rare. Because, like, the numbers they were, like, fucking giving me when
Yeah.
Lucy got her diagnosis, and even, like, her newest assessments from school.
Stupid. I don't even want to. That's a whole other episode.
Yeah, like, I don't believe that she's that developmentally far behind.
Oh, I can't even.
And the more she matures, the more, like, she is, like, flourishing. Like,
just because she can't say doesn't mean she
she's
doesn't
not
think.
thinking or hearing or listening. She's always listening.
And if we don't give her access to say it,
Yes.
how can she ever say it?
Right.
So by presuming competence, we basically give children the benefit of the doubt.
Mhm.
And we're like, we're going to expose you to everything
Yeah.
that we would any other child your age. And we're going to expect you to understand and learn it with accommodations and support. But like, why would we assume otherwise?
Yeah.
Why would we assume that you are impaired just because you can't speak?
Right.
And listen, this is a wild idea because we were all raised in a society that believed this for a very long time.
Mhm.
And when I say this to people, they think I'm insane.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes I think I'm insane, but I'm telling you, you have to presume competence.
Yeah.
If you don't, there's no way that we'll ever know what these kids can think or do or learn.
Like, don't put them in a box.
Absolutely
Because
not.
then they won't ever get out of that box. And it's doing them a fucking disservice.
Yes. Let me tell you a quick story.
I love a story.
I'm such a storyteller. It's my ADHD.
Speaking of, it's
Oh.
ADHD Awareness Month. Whoop whoop.
Celebrate. Be aware. Of a time, this is a story of a time when I did not presume competence
Okay.
in my own son.
Okay.
So Henry has fine motor challenges.
Mhm.
He really struggles to write, really
Okay.
struggles to write. And he really has always struggled to draw. He's never been interested in any of that stuff because it's hard.
Yeah.
And so last year he had an assignment at school, and it was to draw the cover of his favorite book.
Yes.
And we should post this on our Facebook page, the actual image, because it's
Okay.
unreal.
Yeah.
So I was like, what a shit homework assignment for Henry. And I gave him a piece of paper and I was like, just draw the cover of your favorite book. And I didn't expect much, which
Yeah.
is me not presuming competence, right?
Mhm.
Who's to say he couldn't draw the cover of his favorite book?
Yeah.
I've never told him to do that.
Right.
So he drew this very small, like 1-inch blue square, and there was like a scribble in the middle. And I was impressed that he just did it,
Yeah.
you know? So normally he doesn't want to finish something, but he did it. And part of me wanted to just like put that homework book away and be like, great job. And then there was this other part of me that I was like, Henry, we're not doing this. Like, this is, I don't even know what this is.
Yeah.
What book is this?
Yeah.
And it was the Guinness Book of World Records, favorite book at the time. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to teach you something right now. And I got out the book, which he didn't have out, by the way.
Mhm.
And I got him a piece of paper and I drew him a giant square. So I drew him like a whole page.
Yeah. Like
And
a frame.
I said, you have permission to look at your book and to copy it on this piece of paper. You don't have to do it from memory. And I gave you a big square. I want you to fill it out. Pablo Picasso showed up.
I know.
He
It was
drew
amazing.
the Guinness Book of World Records. It was unreal.
It really was.
I did not presume competence. I assumed that because he's never done anything like this in the past that he wasn't going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And that was wrong.
Yeah.
So by presuming competence, what I did was I assumed he could do the task but I gave him the support necessary to meet those expectations and those goals. And that is what presuming competence is for our neurodivergent kids. It is holding them to an expectation because you're going to do the thing,
Yeah.
but I'm going to help you do the thing so that you
Yeah.
can be successful in doing the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh,
We're going to do the thing.
you can't get dressed by yourself. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you put on your clothes, like in whatever way that's going to look like.
Yeah.
But I'm presuming that you're going to get dressed.
Yes.
And that's all.
Yeah.
And in the book that we've plugged many times, Ito and Autism Land, fabulous. And definitely just like a required read. Okay.
It
Required.
really is.
You got to read it.
Especially when you're talking about presumed competence.
He talks in the book about how he had this love-hate relationship, and I'm paraphrasing here, with people who presumed competence with him because he loved them because they pushed him to be better, right? And they didn't belittle him or treat him like a toddler.
Right.
But it was so hard. So he had to work hard to like meet those expectations. But if they didn't give him those opportunities, he would have been stuck.
Yeah.
In a miserable life. And so he was like, I am so grateful for those people, even though I would get real pissed off and like bite them and scratch them sometimes, right? Like, because it was so hard. But you got to presume competence. And he told another story about how he was watching preschool content until like 5th grade, right? In school.
Yes.
So he was watching these same like nursery rhyme videos. They presumed that he was non-speaking and non-thinking. And so one day somebody exposed him to grade level content and he was like, I was the happiest person on earth because I knew about the solar system and the galaxies. And I really wanted to learn about that, but I couldn't say it. He had no means of communication.
That book really is like a
life-changing.
It really is.
It doesn't matter what kind of kid, like you could have a neurotypical kid.
I agree.
You could have a flock of neurotypicals. You got to read Ito and Autism Land.
Litter, okay?
Because it really does give you so much perspective and like empathy.
Yeah.
For not only non-speaking autistics, but just like neurodivergent people in general.
And also his mom kind of, because like she like knew but then questioned herself because like she was questioned and then like she was like, am I right? Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I wrong? And then I'm sure she felt terrible when he wrote this book and he's like, thank you for, believing in me, but then you didn't hang on to that.
I know, right? But I will, and she powered through. So once she had her proof, which you shouldn't need proof.
Yes. But again, like
when you know better, you do better.
Yeah. And again,
it's a journey.
It is. And it was, I mean, how old is he now?
Yeah. I mean, he's probably in his 20s.
Yeah. The book's kind of older.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but she never stopped advocating and pushing. Yeah. And I thought that was super admirable, especially for the times that they were living in.
Yeah.
I mean, she had a non-speaking kid who had a lot of behavioral tendencies, and she pushed for him to be in gen ed, and she pushed for him to have exposure to grade level content, and she drove him like hours to get the spell to communicate lessons, right?
Yep.
I mean, that is beautiful.
It is. It is.
And it's exhausting.
It is. She's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's good for everyone to listen to.
100%.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Edu, Autism Land, do it again.
So good. I'm going to listen to it again,
I think I might have to too.
Yeah, so good. I recommend it to everybody. Like for Christmas this year, everyone's just getting a copy of Ito and Autism Land.
I might
do that. I know, right? It just is what it is. Yeah. I love it. It's so good. It's an easy read.
Oh.
But, I mean, to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Communication. I'm biased, but
it's so fucking important.
It is the most important thing in life. I know that is a bold statement, but like if you can't communicate.
No, I'm here for it.
Listen, if you can't communicate, what is life?
Yeah.
You need it for everything.
You really do.
And so from an early age, I recommend AAC to like babies.
Yeah, we started with PECs, and once we started working with Megan, that quickly was replaced with AAC device, which I'm so happy we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can probably do another episode on PECs.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to touch that now.
I mean, if you want to. It really, like, so PECs, they do the trick, and they are an AAC
Absolutely. PEX is
But
still valid. I will never recommend PEX by themselves to a family and leave them.
yeah.
That's not to say that I haven't given PEX to people or
Hmm.
families or encouraged them because of other reasons,
Yeah.
but PEX are laminated cards of items that you exchange with somebody in a pretty if you're using PEX the way they're supposed to be used,
Hmm.
it's a pretty regimented
Hmm.
exchange. And um, I don't recommend it because it is the furthest thing from robust that there is.
Yeah.
So if you say you have 5 PEX, goldfish, Pop Tarts, popsicles, ice cream, and donuts, that's, I don't know why all those things popped in my head first. But what if you wanted raisins, all right? Or what if
Yeah.
you wanted to go outside? Or what if you
Yeah.
needed to poop? Like, you could not ask for any of those things.
Yeah, we couldn't.
So it just limits what you're able to talk about, A. And B, it's requesting. That's it.
And who wants to flip through a fucking
No.
book
Or
of pictures or
carry a big floppy book.
binder
Yeah.
of pictures,
And what if you go to
basically?
Chick-fil-A for the first time? How are they going to order
Yeah.
anything? They don't have any PEX for it. You got to go home, print it out, laminate it, and then put it in the book. Hope you have Velcro too, because
Right.
you're going to lose that baby if you don't.
So true.
And PEX was developed, and this is all AAC. There is a big flaw
Yeah.
in the AAC world because
And again, evolution,
sure.
technology.
We'll get there. I mean, in 10 years we're going to be doing another episode on how far AAC has come, but AAC is developed by generally like neurotypical analytic processors who are doing this based on their knowledge of language. And I
Yeah.
think, I mean, that has its limitations, but PEX was developed by the same group of people, and it's the system and the way that it's supposed to be done is just so condescending that like it's just wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, I don't want to act like kids deserve this plastic paper communication system when there are iPads out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't remember what we were talking about that got me onto PEX, but you know what? I'll sometimes meet families that don't have access to AAC
Yeah.
in a robust way,
Hmm.
or they don't have an IEP and they don't have money to buy an iPad, and I make them PEX, and I'm like, here you go. We are going to start with this because at least they can tell you what they want to eat for
Yes.
breakfast.
Yes.
It is a form of communication.
It is.
It is not a prerequisite to using an iPad. You do not have to master PEX. You don't have to know how to exchange a stupid picture in order to use an iPad. And you
Tell 'em,
don't.
sister.
It's also silent. If a child's in another room and tapping goldfish, you can't hear them.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Me and Vic laugh because Lucy thinks we can hear her no matter where she is.
Oh, sure.
So like I'll hear her like downstairs, like she'll be like apple, apple, apple.
Are you talking to me? Hello.
Right?
Yeah. But like, can you imagine if she was tapping a silent
Right.
picture?
No, I couldn't.
And yeah, it's just not, it doesn't travel well. It doesn't grow well with kids.
Yeah,
You
and
need something that's
like
going
you
to,
said, it's more of like requesting it. You don't really get into like being
no,
able to have a conversation with
no.
someone like you can on a device.
But there is this mentality where kids need to master PEX or use PEX before they can use something more advanced.
Yes.
It's not more advanced, but
Yeah.
and there's also this mentality that like they need to prove that they can use something more complex by using this other system, and that's just not true.
Yeah, and I think it's also like again just like our professionals need to continue their
Yeah.
education.
Yeah, absolutely. In all disciplines.
Yeah, like you have a passion for it,
Right.
like so that's why I you keep up with it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Don't ask me about making the R sound. I don't keep up with that.
I
Like, and
mean,
I'm not ever going to act like I
how
can
can
do
you
that.
change code?
Don't know. So I'm not even going to try. Okay. I'm going to be like, she's going to say code like that. And it's fine.
I wonder if it's like the actual like person's voice we have.
It could be.
It's like their accent.
Oh, it could be. Code.
Code.
I mean, it's wild.
It
And how
is.
would you even phonetically like
Right.
rewrite that?
Yeah,
I
because
don't know.
some of them we do
Yeah,
kind of have to like,
yeah. I know.
yeah,
And Go Talk was worse. Go Talk had some like dada, right? Was like da-da,
Da-da.
da-da. Just funny. Things you don't think about. Things you take for granted.
Right? Totally.
Everyone deserves access to communication, okay? And that's what we're
Yes.
celebrating this month.
Yes.
If you know an AAC user or you know someone who could use AAC, educate them, right?
Yep.
Or love them and tell them how important they are and how
Yep.
much you love hearing their device, their voice, right? Don't touch their voice, it's theirs. Would you reach in someone's throat and pull out their voice box and act
Lucy
like it's
does get
yours?
mad, but like I have to like
I mean, model, sure.
yeah, I have to model, but like sometimes she is not in the mood for me to model and she will
Mm-mm.
yank that bitch from me
That's
and be
right.
like, give me the evil
Mm.
eye.
Yeah. Well, and stimming.
But
Has
I
anyone
kind of
ever
like it.
said anything about that?
You know what?
That just popped into
I
my
want to
head.
say her first BCBA.
Mm. Yes, I
Actually,
know.
it wasn't her first one, it was her second one.
Okay.
Because her first one is the one that started us with PECs.
Okay.
Um,
And
yeah.
listen, we all are where we at. I get it. Like we're on a different journey.
hmm hmm
Um,
But yeah, she was, I feel like I remember you and her having a discussion about,
yeah, and she was like, she hits this button repetitively, like over and over.
yes.
So we'd like to remove the button. And I was like, over my dead body. Like, I'm sorry, what would you do if a 4-year-old kept saying belly button over
Right.
and over again? Would you tape their mouth closed? You would not. That is an equal comparison.
That's so
You
true.
cannot take the button away.
Yeah. I get super irritated if Lucy comes home from school or ABA and there's a fucking button missing or a new
Ah,
button.
ah.
Like you need to have that discussion with me because their real estate is important on these pages.
You cannot just change
Mm-mm.
her
No.
vocabulary.
No.
And I'm not saying that I'm the end all be all and I'm the only person who can touch that. I'm saying that, like,
In our life you are.
well, yeah, but like, but also the grand scheme is that, like, I don't ever change what you say.
Yeah.
I don't ever say, like, you're replacing that word with this word.
Yeah.
You know what? Someone told me once that I need to stop saying a word because it sounded trashy. And I just use that word more.
What,
Because, like,
what word?
oh, it was in my early career
Okay.
when I would meet new families, I would say, "Hey guys," or like, "How's it going, guys?" And she was like, "You got to stop using the word guys because it's like trashy." And I was like, "What?" You can just say hey or hello. And I was like, I mean, okay, but like,
Fuck them.
you can't just tell me to stop saying a word. Like, I'm not cursing, even if I was.
I don't see how that's trashy, but maybe I'm trash.
Hey guys.
It's me.
I don't know, right?
Trash.
Anyway, we're not taking away words, okay? We're not doing that.
Yeah, not okay with that.
Kids, so when babies learn to talk, they babble
Mm-hmm.
and they say the same word over and over again and they overgeneralize these words. And we accept that because it's a part of development, right?
Yeah.
We're like, oh, it's so cute. She won't stop saying daddy for mommy and Aunt Barbara. But like, that is adorable and it's fine.
Yep.
But when an AAC user does it, we're like, oh, they're stimming.
Yeah.
We have to stop that. And that's not okay.
No.
You know, maybe they do like the sound of the word. Maybe
Yeah.
they like looking at the little icon or the word on their bar
Yeah.
up top. Maybe they're trying to tell you something in the only way that they can. Maybe they just want to hit the stupid button. But you know what?
Who cares?
We're going to embrace it
Yeah.
because we do it for everybody else, okay?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you can't be annoyed by it. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you can't tell them to please stop saying that word. But
Right.
you're going to presume competence that they understand and hear you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to treat them like everybody else.
Yep.
Hey, Lucy, can you please stop hitting that word? That's annoying. You can say that.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed by that.
Yeah.
But you're not going to take away the word.
No.
That is just disrespectful.
I'll fight you.
Don't you do it. Hide the button.
Hide the button. All right. So, what we want you guys to take away from this is number 1, everyone deserves a voice.
Yep.
Number 2, presume competence.
That's right.
Number 3, do not judge people who have a fucking tablet, okay? You
Just
don't know
don't.
what they have it for. What else?
Number
Number
4.
4, Edu Autism
Yes.
Land. Again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And number 5, AAC is great.
Mm.
Happy AAC Awareness Month.
Yes.
I'm so glad that we have the means to provide people with a voice.
Same. And I'm just glad that we had you to like show us the way.
I'm still learning with everybody else, but I will do it
Yes.
until everybody can communicate.
Yes.
If you need AAC resources, if you need, there are so many amazing free resources out there, even if they're low tech, which is just paper.
Yeah.
Not necessarily PECs, but like you can use paper to communicate. Please reach out. I'm happy to give the information, to guide you, to give you grants and resources.
Totally. Reach out, please. We're here. We are a community.
Yes. And don't forget, for the month of October, AAC programs are discounted, and it's a huge discount.
Yes,
So
and in April. So October, April.
And as a last plug, I did say to reach out to an SLP who is knowledgeable about AAC when you're looking at purchasing a program. However, if you cannot find an SLP or get in touch with an SLP, AAC is better than no AAC. Get yourself a free app, put it on the iPad, teach yourself how to use it.
Like you said,
and
like
show your kid how to use it.
You got to sit there and just really look at it.
Yeah, you can't
and
but anything is
Google
better than
it.
Nothing. You don't need.
If not, you can Google anything and it'll tell you how to use it.
That's right. There's so many caregivers that I see in these social media groups that are like, we haven't been able to see an SLP, so we haven't gotten AAC. And that is just not, that's another systemic issue, but like, you can do anything. You're the parent of this kid, right? Get yourself a free AAC program and figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
I don't want to put that on you, but like, you can.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Are we done?
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Sorry I got a toot and just kept talking.
We hope you guys like and subscribe, and hopefully we see you guys sooner than later. Yeah. Stay weird. Bye, guys.